bringing you the absolute best stories across the ag industry. You're now tuning into How I Built This Ag Business, an original series by AgSwag.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of How I Built This Ag Business. We're on here today with Todd Drake, Christy Drake, and Colton Drake. Their journey as business owners began back in 2002, and now they own Balance Forward, New Balance Commodities, Nottoway Feeders, and Fire and Salt Co. in Corning, Iowa. With that, I'd like to welcome you all to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys
Thanks for
doing it. I guess let's start with how you guys got started in agriculture. We'll go with Todd and Christy. So did you guys grow up on a farm or?
I grew up on a row crop farm, and actually my dad taught us to fear animals. He did dairy in southern Indiana and kind of had an old McDonald farm and was sick of animals and didn't want to have anything to do with them. So he was a little nervous when I decided to marry Todd.
Jordan, always marry a dairy farmer's daughter. They got work ethic. They know how to work.
Yeah. So did you grow up on a farm, Todd, or?
You know, I did. When I was a kid, we lived down on the Iowa-Missouri border, and we farmed, and then the 80s hit, and then my dad bought the livestock auction in Lenox, Iowa, where we went to high school sweethearts here, and he started order buying cattle. So I grew up sorting and processing and running skid steers up and down concrete alleyways and setting up portable gates, and pretty well just in the cattle thing.
Yeah. And then what, you went to school and got a job and?
Yeah. So we graduated in 91 from high school, went to Maryville, Northwest Missouri State, and went into animal science and worked for a vet clinic down there, and went out and started selling pharmaceuticals, found some connections, and got in the pharmaceutical business for about 9 years.
Okay. And then what was the first business you guys started? Was that Nottoway Feeders?
Yeah, Nottoway Valley Feeders. Yeah.
Okay, cool. How'd that get going? Just start with one cow or?
Yeah, pretty well. So down in Missouri, we bought a fescue farm with a house on it, remodeled the house ourselves and built a little equity, and the bank gave us some money to start feeding some cattle, and we put some cattle on grass down there. And then I started feeding in some of my customers' feed yards and got the bug. So I was a traveling drugs salesman selling animal health, and then I seen all these custom feedlots, and it's like, I got to get involved in this deal somehow, some way.
And then
I've been in my 20s.
Yeah, did Christy start it with you, or did you just venture off on your own?
Oh God, no, she was in it full swing.
I was extremely pregnant with Colton, and I was supposed to be in the gateway and helping sort, and one of these steers was not stopping. So I was very pregnant. I got out of the way, and I think that was one of our first big conflicts, sorting cattle together. But
So it just started you two sorting them.
Yeah.
yes.
Nice. And then how did this other stuff transpire? What was your next business after the feeders? Was that New Balance Commodities?
Well, after we sold our farm, we actually developed our 74 acres of fescue in Missouri into housing, and sold off 5-acre tracts, collected some money, and then we bought this farm up here at Nottoway, 228 acres, and built a feed yard on that. So that was the Nottoway Valley Feeders part.
Okay.
And yeah, so then after that, we weren't having trouble cash flowing, but it was tight. So we decided to start New Balance Commodities with our feed handling facilities, and start blending some dry ingredients and selling them back to some of our customers, or my customers at Hypro when I was working for them at the pharmaceutical deal, and blending feed in between feedings at the feed yard. That went well. And then the ethanol boom hit. And since we didn't farm, we were one of the first feed yards feeding distillers grain out of Craig, Missouri. So I think we were one of the first 10 to feed it. So we become experts in feeding distillers grain right out of the gate. And so the next thing we knew, our customers were asking us if we could get some of that for them. And we went from 1 load to 2 to 4 to 8 to grew it up to, we're just short of 4,000 truckloads a month now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that's where you guys really started to blow it up.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then how
Too
fast, was
fast.
that? Like in a year or 2 years or?
Too fast, Jordan. Too fast. Yeah, it's amazing we didn't go bankrupt through there. We were growing so fast, but um, yeah, I would say when did we start New Balance was been 06, and by 2014 we hit that. The corn went from 212, in 12 to for a high, and 14 we just went through there just about as fast as you could possibly grow, honestly.
Yeah. How many employees do you guys get up to in that time?
I think 30, 35 maybe.
Jeez.
Wow.
That's pretty quick. So
Yeah.
you're just trying to hire people to get the job done.
For sure. And I was still trying to throw things at the wall and see what sticks back then. And I did have enough contacts. I called my old boss at Hypro out of Freona, Texas, and he flew up here and did a walkthrough with me and told me I needed a CFO. And I remember I'm a cowboy at this point. I got a cowboy hat and I'm chewing Red Man, and I I didn't even know what a CFO stood for. I didn't even know what that was. And
Yeah.
I didn't even believe in meetings. I didn't want anybody telling me what to do. And anyway, he flew up here and said I need a CFO. And sure enough, about 8 months later, I went looking for a CFO, and I needed some help because we were growing faster than I could handle. And out of that process, I found a mentor who was in the insurance business in Omaha, and he helped us immensely, lining me out how to become a business professional.
So
Good.
what's your guys' main business now? Is it Balance Forward or?
Yes.
Okay. So
So
how
in-
did you get going in that?
Yeah, good question. Well, between 2016 and 2018, we had all these broken business, or not broken, but scattered businesses. We had a feed yard, we have a feed company, and it's like, well, we really didn't want to be feed yard managers. We really didn't want to be feed salespeople. We just wanted to cast a bigger net and help people. We just wanted to help that mid-market cattleman. So we said, let's rebrand, and that's where we come with Balance Forward, and let's go see how many of these people we can help. And so we wanted to build a platform of services that can kind of bring some alignment and remove some chaos for some customers. And that's how Christy and I stood on the deck one day, and we're going to go all in, good, bad, or otherwise, like we always did. She's as much risk taker as I am. And they said, we'll go see if we can build this. And so we went on a mission since 18, building Balance Forward and building this platform of services out.
Yeah, and that's grown pretty quick too, hasn't it?
It doesn't seem very quick to me, probably not to Christy either, but yeah, I mean, we were a behind the scenes company at one point, and now it's getting to a point where there's no sneaking up on anybody. Everybody kind of knows we've hired enough people and we've got a big enough footprint.
Yeah, and are you guys just dealing with people in the Iowa area, or are people coming to you from?
No, we just had a summit in Omaha this last weekend. We had 200 and some customers there, and they were from like 12 different states. Majority of it's Iowa and Nebraska. We've got an office here in Ottawa and an office in Omaha, and majority it's Omaha Central, but we got a lot of business Minnesota, South Dakota, Kansas, Missouri, surrounding states for sure.
Yeah, and
So what all services do you guys offer? Are you a consulting company, or what do you?
Good question. So basically we help people contract cattle, corn, and feed. So we got a cattle procurement, and then New Balance Commodities. Its secret sauce is helping people contract, know when and how to contract. And then doing the logistics of that. And then we also, the hardest one we've put together was this, I would just call it, we called it our advantage, but it's actually financial forecasting for the next 18 months out.
Okay.
And we got that down into what we call the 5-step process we've got that we follow. And so we're just constantly looking and crunching numbers, looking out 18 months and just doing financial modeling on cattle, corn, and feed. So, and then we're just transparent with the customers, what we're doing. Since we're feeding cattle all the time, we've got cows at times and stockers and grass cattle, and we just let our customers know exactly what we're doing in the market, good, bad, or otherwise. And then last one is feedlot performance. Obviously, that's probably the final one we've been doing here recently. Just got launched this year in a bigger scaled way. Is helping people with that feedlot performance. I'm not hitting my projections like I want. I don't feel like my cost of gains or conversions or my facilities, and we're trying to bring more of a consultative, unique approach into that, just helping them with that part of it.
And what are you seeing people like want the most help with? Things in the market or more on like the feedlot operation sides?
It transitions really. When we had too many cattle, everybody wanted that forecasting in the markets. And that's still growing pretty significantly. But feedlot performance, when we had $8 corn, boy, that showed up a lot of opportunity in there, because when your feed gets that high, your inputs get that high, it makes a huge impact on your bottom line, how efficient you are. So recently, that's probably been growing about as fast as we can stand it right now, honestly.
Yeah. What are you guys seeing, I guess, like through the end of the year and into next summer? What's your outlook on the space?
Well, our customers are about half farming and half cattle, on average, more of a farmer feeder or stocker farmer or something on that order. But yeah, it's a little rough on corn. I mean, I don't see that getting a lot better for a little bit. And from the cattle perspective, I'm pretty bullish on cattle. We still think it's seasonal. We're gonna get back in the $2 fat cattle this fall, and decent chance of $2 fat cattle plus in the spring of next year. But our policy sheet is saying don't take any risk. I mean, the juice isn't worth the squeeze going out and buying $2 fat cattle and hoping we get 205 to 215 for them. So we're taking less risk than we have in 4 years. And we're probably, our cattle numbers, we've probably shrank by 2/3 of our cattle inventory right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What were you guys feeding at your peak? What would you feed?
About 50, I think we got to 15,000 last year.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And that could change it, if I've been in the cattle business long enough, I know there's always an event around the corner. And when the event hits, they call me the dry powder guy at some people. So I just want dry powder. I've had the market crash and not have dry powder. That's not a fun place to be. So I just want dry powder when the bulb drops.
Yeah, I'm trying to teach that to Jordan right now. He hasn't been around long enough, to see really what it's like with no dry powder.
Yeah.
I said, no, we are definitely, we're lightened up. We're full on dry powder, and he's watching things move. He's like, Dad, seriously, let's get in here. And I'm like, no, we're going to just be patient. We're going to sit tight here.
Well, it's heartbreaking when you see opportunity and you don't have any money to do anything with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you get started in the business, Colton?
Well, honestly, before I was born out there sorting cattle. The last would have been February of 21. I started full time. So
Nice. Where'd you go to school?
well, I went to college in Lincoln, Nebraska, and spent a lot of time with the Engler Entrepreneurship Program there, and realized that I didn't really fit the corporate culture. I worked at 6 different feed yards in 4 different states, and kind of loved the business, and tried my hand in the grain trading world, and I missed the cattle. So I got the opportunity to come back here in February of 21. It's been a ride ever since.
Nice. And what's your role with the business now? Are you running one of the yards or?
No, today I've been spending a lot of time on our feedlot performance program, going and working with clients, just helping them hunt opportunity. So I work with a team of people, and I guess it kind of depends on the day, to be honest with you, Jordan.
Yeah. And what are you doing with the business, Christy? Are you on the balance forward side or?
I manage our feed yards. I'm managing fire and salt and corning, and then just help fill in the gaps some on the New Balance commodity side whenever they need institutional knowledge.
Nice. Nice. And whose idea was the fire and salt? Was that you or?
It was both of ours.
Okay. How's that going?
It's going really well. People love it. They cannot believe there's a store like that in a little town in Southwest Iowa, and it's just been a lot of fun and it's refreshing. When people go in there, we have we didn't like going in places and there's no firearms. Everything's real milk by almond milk, fake meat, and all these things that we don't believe in, and so we just got sick of it. And we're like, we're going to have a completely different experience when you come in this store.
So
Yeah.
fire,
So tell our listeners what you guys got going on up there.
fire and salt, fire and salt was kind of started with the disgust of walking into a store and seeing all like a sign of what she's saying on the front door. There's no firearms. We got a sign that says, bring your firearm in with you. We're good with it. And I didn't like going in and getting beef jerky out of a store and it was right beside fake meat. So it's like, let's go out and do this better. I was like, we shouldn't be in the commodity business in the cattle industry. We're producing a product in the US and in the Midwest, it's premium, and we're handing it off to corporate America and they're making their own stories up. So let's go tell a story and let's have an experience store. So boy, that's right up Christie's alley. And so you walk in now and it's the ultimate beef experience, and it's anything that enhances a steak meal. So we've got an old bank building and the vault is full of cigars. We've got rare and hard to find whiskeys that we have in there. We have some wine that's pretty exceptional wine. We have a lot of cheese out of Door County, Wisconsin. And then probably the biggest hit we had was that we didn't expect was our olive oil and balsamics. We brought in a $20,000 display of olive oil into a rural county with 3,700 people in it, and we sell the thunder out of olive oil. And it's all this infused different stuff, but it's all kinds of cooking things that are fun to do.
Yeah. So all the meat, is that coming from you guys? Like from your
Yes.
feedlots?
Yes, we have
Okay.
two products in there. I'd say it's a upper 2/3 choice is kind of we're grading it ourselves, and then we've got our reserve, which is I'd say equal to a prime steak.
Yeah. And are you seeing a lot more local people like coming by, or you just have people coming through there checking out the store from everywhere? Or?
Go ahead,
We
Kristen.
pull from an hour and a half radius.
Okay.
Probably 80% of our business, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at the website. What, it's at Corning, Iowa? Is that where you guys are at?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool store. Yeah. I'm looking at it. My wife would love it. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So, and how do people get to the website? Just fireandsaltco.com, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's awesome. That's a good idea.
We're doing a lot of corporate bundles, and people that used to live in Southwest Iowa moved to all these different cities. We're starting to ship them some products too. So we've shipped to California and out east already, and that's kind of fun to ship Midwestern beef all over the country.
I think we've shipped to 23 states so far.
Oh, wow.
We started in May shipping.
Yes. And we really just got our website up and going, and or keep making improvements to it.
What's the biggest pain on that side of the business? Just being open all the time, or
It's
inventory?
so startup. I don't know if there is it's for me, it's just the cash drain of anytime you start anything up, we had to invest and balance forward a couple $1,000,000 before we got the cash flow. And it's the same thing with this store. I mean, you just go put all the money up, and a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize how much cash it takes to get going.
Oh, yeah.
There's a learning curve to everything. I mean, starting up the other businesses, all of a sudden you're trying to do HR and marketing and all these other jobs, and the retail, it's just a different aspect. So it's just another learning curve. Partnering up with the right people.
We've had our share of those. I've I've bought restaurants, bars. I've been out, playing poker at night, come home, tell my wife, bought a bar up in town and bought a restaurant. She's like, what are you doing? What are we going to do with this? I said, babe, just a learning experience. We're going to figure it all out. And
It'll
sure
make a great
enough,
story.
oh boy, how's it ever? Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you guys sound like us, always doing something. You guys can't sit still, can you? I said, I cannot. Yeah, can't
Being
keep
married to Todd, you're never bored.
Yeah, that's the same thing my wife tells lots of our friends. She's like, yeah, it's never boring. We definitely always got something going on. Now Jordan got married. Now they're gonna have a kid, and his wife saying the same thing to my wife. Like, do these guys ever stop just coming up with ideas or new things to try? It's like, no, I'm trying something, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, has there been any like businesses you guys have started in the past that didn't go as planned? Like thought this was a good idea and no, that wasn't a good idea. Or are these the only businesses you guys have started? They've all been up and rolling.
Well, yeah, they're all up and rolling. I'd say none of them have been a good idea from the beginning. It's, even the feed yard, we started backgrounding calves in it, and then it's like, well, this isn't going to cash flow. So we shoved twice as many cattle in it as it could hold, which wasn't a good idea at all. If anybody knows anything about starting calves, overpopulation's not good. And then we got down to a 15% equity because everything cost more than we thought back in 02, even back then. And so I kept my job for about 2 years, and Christy was a fashion merchandising major, and she ran the grow yard. And when I'm saying grow yard, we had cattle rented. We just because of pure panic to get cash flow going, we ran about 20,000 head. I think those first 2 or 3 years, we were doctoring. Oh my gosh!
Perfect job for a fashion merchandiser.
Yes.
That's what I do to my wife, and she's like, "Have you lost your mind?"
Yeah, I got rid of my heels and suits pretty quick.
Yeah,
Or
for sure.
some work boots and gloves and jeans. So it all worked out.
Yeah, for sure. But you guys have done it, so hey, more power to you, right?
Right.
Tip for sure. So
Yeah. So what are you guys doing on the hiring side of things? Like how do you continue to just keep hiring good people for all these other businesses? Because it seems like you're scaling and you got quite a few employees at each business.
Well, yeah, it's definitely an attitude thing. I got to drop a little brag here. We just won the one of the best places in Iowa to work from the Des Moines Register here recently. So we were in the top 5 percentile of core values. And I would say that is it. It's our core values. I mean, we just pound and pound and pound away at go fail think. And we just we're fanatical about it, and we don't get caught up in the societal crap, I would call it. I mean, we don't like the DEI thing. We don't participate in any of that. We just hire good people and promote on merit, and our employees love that. And we found a lot of young people that will work. We found a lot of them through internship programs. But once you get the ball to rolling and you stick to your core values, they start telling their friends that got the similar core values, so we weed through them pretty quick. That's one of the reasons we do really well with the entrepreneurship programs, because that kind of fits who we are.
What are you guys' core values? What are your
It's go fail think. Like, we give people enough rope to go take some risk and make some mistakes, and then when they fail, and they got to do the hard things, and then they got to go back and take full responsibility and pick yourself back up and get going again. And then we've actually brought in some every week we do a fundamental that supports those core values. You remember what it is this week, Christy or Colton? I'm putting you on the spot.
Think.
What is it?
Think.
So everybody in the company this week is talking about what does think mean to you. Before every meeting that we have this week throughout the company, we go through and we talk about those things.
What do you got planned this week, Colton? Put you on the spot.
What do I got planned this week as far as my schedule, or
No,
what do you mean by that, Jordan?
For think, when he was talking about think, where you guys got to talk this week about think.
Honestly, a lot of that to me is just all about personal accountability. So I love the fanatic of David Goggins. When he talks about his accountability mirror, it all comes back to staring himself in the eye and say, hey, what could I have done different? How do I pick myself up and go forward? And really taking extreme ownership of his actions. And that's really what I think of around our fundamental weak think is, hey, how do I go and change my own behaviors to go drive something else forward?
Yeah. What are some new programs you've tried since you've came back and that maybe haven't worked and you've gone back and redone them and now they're working again? Or they're something you guys have implemented?
You're saying from revenue generation or personally?
Revenue generation on the business side.
So when I started, we were pretty fresh with cattle business systems, which is really where the Balanced Sport brand is coming from. So when we talk about our different services that we offer to our clients, cattle business systems is really the entire overarching. That's what we do. Is what we sell. And so at that point in time, it was expensive. We didn't know what it was. And my job was literally to just go knock, knock. My name's Colton. What's your name? Here's what we're doing. Just cold calling. And that was one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life, is just go get told no every day of the week, all day long, with a yes every once in a while. So with that, we had to get really good at how do we find success going out selling that product or cattle business systems. So from a process standpoint of what does that sales process look like? What words do we use to really understand what that customer's wanting and needing to go help them? So for the last 3 years, we've been fanatical about how do we go and drive process improvement to really understand our customers' wants and needs, to really go meet them where they're at and help them. So like Todd mentioned earlier, it really does start with where the customer wants to start at. So when we started this, it was all about risk management. We just got done with COVID in 21. Everybody was pretty panicked about the market. Well, now when we look at interest rates going up, and it's just pretty expensive to have cattle around to put that weight on. And the input cost is pretty high. So we got to be more efficient. So feedlot performance is really taking the initiative here. So I guess that's kind of a roundabout way. I guess I've just been a part of a lot of good teams and a lot of good people and just try to learn a little bit every day. It's just been a journey, I guess.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I had Jordan doing the same when he started out with us, and he's like, seriously, Dad, cold calling, talking. I said, hey, you're gonna get hung up on. You're gonna have to pick yourself up. All the things your dad's talking about.
Good stuff.
Yeah, definitely teaches you guys a lot for sure. So, and we're now Jordan trying to hire more people, and his business is growing and building out, and the growing pains of hiring people, and I don't know. It's definitely there. We're going through this whole thing right now in the office. I came in, and you might have read it in a report or something, but I walk in and there's some trash overflowing at one of the trash cans, and my wife had to come in and do some dishes in the break room because it was full of dishes, and we're like, what the hell? People just walking by work around here? I mean, if somebody sees something, why aren't they doing it? And it's like, the newer people are like, well, that's not my job. That's not my responsibility. They're doing that number on us. So
Right.
I'm like, yeah, there's a big difference here. Accountability is when I tell you to empty the trash and you go do it. Responsibility is when you see the trash overflowing and you just empty it yourself. I'm like, can we get people, to move on that? It's tough. I mean, younger people, it's just tough. So do you guys make it clear that like, you're not part of the whole woke? I think you do with the salt and fire. I mean, I'm thinking you're making it pretty clear you're not part of the whole woke festival. So
Yeah.
that's
try.
hard.
It is. But the more we do it, it's like I get a kick out of it now. Is like we make sure we pray before meals in front of the company, you know, and
Yeah.
we're God country and family. And if you don't like it,
Yeah.
you're just gonna have to get over it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
I'm willing to go to jail or die on that sword over those values.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're in Kansas City, right? Oh, we're building this one business right in the heart of Kansas City. So it's kind of tricky because, you know, Jordan has his friends and they're non-woke as can be. And, you know, we're hiring artists and different people in the marketing and, you know, and it's like, oh man, it's tricky. I tell Jordan, I'm like, I don't know. It's definitely different.
If you announce it though, I mean, I'm not.
I think you're right. Yes, we have not done that.
Yeah.
In your defense, you guys, that's the right way to go about it. I think just announce, here's where you're at.
Well, we've had pretty talented kids that are coming to us now, and they're going to college, and then their parents are saying, go get a good job with corporate America, and they're getting out there, and my parents start telling me, well, this is how I was raised, this is what we believe in, and then they're telling me to go get a job with corporate. And you know, John Deere just reversed their stance on DEI.
I saw that.
But you know, a lot of these really talented kids, it's like I like praying before meals. I like the idea of not going down that path. And it's like it's hitching your wagon to a company that is promoting things that you don't believe in your heart. And boy, that gets pretty personal to some of these young people, and they're looking for different opportunities.
That makes sense.
A lot more than they're publicly saying. I mean, they're saying it to me and in private, but they're not saying it publicly. Like, I don't want to go for that company because of what they believe in.
Yeah. That makes sense. So, well.
Yeah, for sure. What do you got on the wall back behind you? That gun.
Oh, that's a replica of
Yeah, it's pretty good.
what is that? Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
That's a Wyatt Earp because they said he couldn't shoot for nothing, so he had to have a long barrel on his pistol.
That's the best.
It's just a wall decoration.
Yeah, heck yeah.
It's a conversation
like a
piece.
mule.
So what's next for you guys? Where are you headed trying to take the business to? Are you looking to sell at any point in time and exit? You guys just going to keep growing for the next several generations, or what are you looking at?
We kind of take after the Jim Collins approach. It's Colton has got to earn his way up through here, but that's kind of,
yeah.
I'm hoping it goes on and on forever. But if he stays on the path he's on right now, he started at the bottom and working up, then I think the company can last for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty hopeful in that. So I'm hoping it keeps going. But I guess if it doesn't, there's no entitlement here, and he knows it and he agrees with it. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to sell it off to the employees or do something different down the road if he's not wanting to be involved. So we'll just have to wait and see when that time comes.
For sure.
Is there a certain business you guys are focusing on, or is like Balance Forward your main focus, or trying to juggle all the balls?
Yeah, Balance Forward's 99.9% of everything we're doing. We say we're a sales and marketing company that invests in production agriculture. I mean, that's what we do. We're feeding cattle and all over, but we're investing there. But most of our time and resources all going into building this platform. We want to simplify our team down and how we communicate with the customers to help as many of these people and get them in alignment as we can, and then work with them. I mean, there is a slug of people that love the cattle industry all over, and there's thousands and thousands of those customers that I think that appreciate our services. So we got a long
Now,
ways to go there.
When you were back growing and the gentleman said you need a CFO, are you guys now somewhat not acting as one, but providing CFO type guidance to smaller operations, mid-size and smaller operations that may not have CFOs, or they may not have, someone to give them, I guess, an outlook and lay of the land and some of the things like
Sure.
that. So you're providing some of those tools.
Right now, yes, we're just pointing them in the right direction.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of connections in fractional CFOs, and we're just helping them out and just pointing them in that direction, honestly.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
What's your guys' five-step method? You said something about a 5-step method earlier.
Yeah. So we've got the front page is a business plan. which is nothing more than what we see for the next 3 years of what we think is based on break evens and what you're going to have to purchase. So it's more from a buying feeder cattle standpoint, and what you think you're going to sell them for, cash to cash. The next step is market direction, which is all this different modeling of what types of year it's going to be. And we just model and model and model, trying to figure out which is the most two likely things that we're going to have with outcomes. And then the third one is policy. Then we just set policy to keep us out of the ditches. It's not risk management. It's more just policy. When we get to this point, we're throwing in the towel. We were wrong. And it's more just avoid complete wreck. And the next one is trade ranges. We just go out and model what we believe the trade ranges are going to be for the next 13 rolling months. And then the last one is pull the trigger of just threats and opportunities, what we see this week and this month, honestly. But that
I
is,
may add to that.
go ahead. That's just treated us really well as far as when we get all the emotions. When everybody gets caught up in the emotions, it just brings us back to ground zero.
If I could add a little bit to that, it would be 5 steps is really a systematic way to approach how do we be proactive in the market and look out ahead on cattle, corn, and feed. So when the markets start getting pretty fast and volatile, let's go back to our fundamentals. And this is our fundamentals, our blocking and tackling to keep us centered when things get pretty wild. So it gives us a place to start a conversation and to get on the same page, because this literally is a piece of paper that we can all communicate off of, and have pretty candid, direct conversations and get things accomplished in a lot more efficient way. So.
And do you guys like bringing people in with like a commodity background from other jobs, or do you kind of prefer not having a background in commodities and kind of teaching them your way?
It's definitely a mix, but that's been really hard, because I wouldn't call us risk managers. I mean, we're opportunists, so we're probably risk forecasters. And then so we think there's 2 big moves a year in cattle and corn, and we take pretty good positions going against those 2 big moves every year. And I mean, that's the So we're definitely got a little more gamble in us. People call us speculators, or a few people will call us speculators. And I'm like, well, at some level, that's pretty true. But in other ways, it's not true at all, because it's so calculated out. And then even if we think we could have 215 fat cattle next spring, that doesn't mean that's where we're putting our risk management to apply to that. I mean, we're not taking massive risk that we're going to 215 next spring.
Yeah.
So we always got a quote in here: our mouth and our checkbook are 2 different things. So I'm bullish, but my checkbook is pretty damn bearish right now.
I hear you there. We're there a lot of times. Boy, I'm there right now with corn.
For sure.
Corn and beans. I don't
So
know.
have we had our 2 big moves this year that you were talking about, or we still waiting on it?
I'm really excited about July corn around that upper 3s and low 4s here. So I think we're getting pretty close to wanting to take some significant length in corn.
Yeah. I agree. We've been buying some out of the money. We've been buying some calls on the breaks. And Jordan's like, why aren't we going to buy it? And I said, we're not going to buy more. We're just going to be patient here a little bit and let it smoke some more people out here. But yeah, I think your risk to reward ratio is obviously growing each day. The lower we go, obviously. So be interesting. What work-life balance is there around your guys' family? Because ours is pretty minimal. It seems like we're constantly getting together for dinner and everything, but we're always talking business nonstop. Yeah. And how about you guys? Are you able to not
Christy,
talk? Christy?
Maybe you want to go first, Christy.
We try to separate it, but it's so intertwined. It's virtually impossible. And everything we do is around work, the people, the people at work, the people that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So it just all becomes one.
Yeah.
It really does.
And it does get tough being married and working together all the time. I mean, that's my wife and we tell both our kids, I'm like, I mean, it's great when it's great, but it's shitty. It's not good when it's bad. You know, it's just, you can't get away from anything. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely interesting. So
I
We
think
have gotten better at saying, I need a break. Oh, no work at all tonight.
Yeah.
I don't care if we don't talk. That doesn't happen very often, but
yeah.
it is an option.
Yeah.
our mentor put us on EOS. I think we were one of the original 400, roughly in the 400 category to go on EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System,
Yeah.
back in 2014. And that has built enough structure in our life. Like, we're having legitimate meetings throughout the day. So when we get home at night, we don't have to discuss hard things. It's already been done throughout the day, and you can kind of chill out in the evenings and things that way.
Oh,
So
good. Yeah.
I think
That's
just some
interesting.
structures helped us quite a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Yeah. So
Well, what are maybe a few stories you guys have along the way that you'd like to share with us?
anything we've missed or
Anything good? Anything funny?
Christy, you want to tell them what it was like when you hung your high heels up and started running a feed yard?
It was
I
a
know your
change.
mother
I
was
thought
impressed.
what's that?
I know your mother was impressed.
Yes, yeah. My parents were not real thrilled with that. And he just had such a dream. And so for me, how would I not go along with it? So, and for me, I wanted to own my own clothing stores and furniture stores. And then I have two little boys. But what makes a lot more sense is raising them out here. So I was bound and determined to figure it out and raise them. And I mean, I have a funny story. So the boys, they were maybe 6 and 8, and at that time we were I'm like you said, we had all these high risk calves. I mean, a huge volume of high risk calves. So they were used to seeing death and seeing us drag things to the dead pile. Well, one day those two they're pedaling step in step, and they have an aborted fetus from a feedlot heifer tied to the back and dragging it. They took bale twine, and then that's how they were doing it. And they were just in lockstep, puffing and puffing, getting this thing to the dead pile. So it
Behind
kind
our
of sounds.
bicycles.
They were very MacGyver. They could figure out how to get anything done.
That's when you know you're a cattle family, when your kids, you're so proud of them dragging deads off with bicycles. So, and they had cowboy boots and their pant legs tucked in and spurs, I
Yeah.
think, on their bicycle and their little dirt bikes, and they were just pedaling away. And I was like, oh my God, what are we doing to these kids? They're
oh, heck.
Do you remember that,
can do
Colton?
Not that one, no.
No.
I've seen the pictures though.
What was one of your first memories going out with mom or dad in the cattle business?
Oh shoot. Probably some of my favorites were spent horseback out in the feed yard. Mom dragged me out of bed at 5 a.m. and saddled my horse for me because I wasn't big enough. And we'd go and, I mean, we'd start at 6 and be horseback checking cattle in the feed yard. Then we'd go out on grass and we'd rope and doctor out on grass all day. And we were horseback from 6 a.m. to midnight many times I remember growing up.
Really?
And it was
Wow.
it was a riot.
Yeah. Yeah.
How old were you then?
6, 7.
I don't know. Well, I've been 12, 14, 10, somewhere in there. 10 to 14, I'd say.
Old
We
enough-
hit it pretty
old
hard
enough
there
to
for a
work.
while.
Yeah, we'd saddle 2 horses a day, a lot of days during that time.
Really? Yeah. Just out all day checking. Yeah.
We were such an oddity in Iowa starting that many calves. high risk calves too. On top of that, you can just imagine it. At 20,000 head, we shell through this thing in a year's time, and you got a 3 to 5% death loss. That's a lot of doctrine and a lot of dragging,
Yeah.
and that's doing a good
Tough
job.
yearling bulls out on grass. Just put it.
Yeah.
You know.
What were some of the bigger feedlots up there in Iowa at that time? Were there any big ones?
Not really. They're all north of here.
Yeah.
Going out in Nebraska. I think Gregory's over there right by Sydney are about 7 or 8,000 maybe
Huh.
back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
And then George Young's feedlot, he was going, I shouldn't say names, but
Yeah.
that fiasco was going down. You guys probably know all about that
Yeah. Yeah.
at the same point in time. So
Yeah. No, for
so
sure.
that was probably a 10,000, 15, 12,000 head feed yard east of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys have any competitors like in the space, or you guys like kind of created your own market?
We got lots of competitors on each one of the services, but putting it all together, I don't think there's anybody close to us at this point. Because if you can just imagine, you got one point person, but we hand you over what we're doing in the next 18 months and you can follow it or not. And we're completely transparent with that. And then based on that, our feed people are saying, let's go contract feed. Our corn people are saying, let's go contract corn. And our feeder cattle guys saying, let's go contract. So we're not just peddling widgets. We're actually saying, hey, we think you should buy these feeder cattle based on this plan that we've got. And if the person says, well, I think the plan, you're too low or you're too high or whatever, like, great. So how can we help you match into that? We're selling you something with a plan behind it rather than just peddling feeders, because I've got a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And with some alignment, so the left hand's talking to the right hand. You don't have the broker and the order buyer telling you two different things. Everyone's on the same page and communicating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing we're hitting right now with our momentum is when you talk to one of us, the other one knows what the other one's thinking. So there's not any confusion of, well, I think corn's going to $7 and I think corn's going to $3. We're all in. Even if we don't agree completely, we're all in on what we're doing. So
Yeah, I'm with Colton. That happens a ton in our business, just one broker saying one thing, one, a cash guy saying another, and the elevator saying something else. And there's a lot of mixed signals and a lot of, people on different pages. Yeah, it makes sense from your perspective. Yeah.
How are you guys getting on the same page within the company? Are you having meetings every week about it, or it's just a mindset thing?
No, it's definitely, for a guy, I'm a guy who didn't want any meetings 15 years ago. I got plenty of meetings, and we have a war room meeting every Monday, bringing it all kind of together, but there's lots of meetings going out throughout the week of just shooting holes in our ideas. And we got people outside the company, they're shooting holes because we don't want to get tunnel vision. So we've got other people outside the company shooting holes in our ideas as well.
Todd, your story sounds a lot like similar to mine, where when I first went to Chicago, I'm like, they always wanted me to write things up in business plans and, write everything up in tons of meetings. And I'm like, I'm not doing any of these meetings anymore. I'm not writing all this up. Now as we've grown a lot, grown and created these bigger businesses, it's now you and I are preaching. You got to write things down, send me a writing, send me a plan, show up at this meeting. I tell the kids the same thing because they're always, Jordan's like, Dad, seriously, why are we writing all this? Why are we doing all this business planning and writing? And I'm like, send it over. We all got a million balls in the air, so you got to have it in writing and kind of read through it when you get a chance and have the meetings to assess. So
that's right.
Yep.
It's a humble pill to swallow when you were wrong, but
yes, I agree.
It's a humble pill to swallow.
Yep.
So yeah. Do you have any more questions, Darren, Dad?
No, I mean, anything we missed or anything you guys would want us that we need to talk about, tell folks about, or anything you guys can think of on your end? Because like I said, our motto is trying to help other folks build their businesses, and in return it kind of reciprocates our end. And we've met a lot of great folks, great families like yourself who've built some wonderful ag businesses. And we appreciate you guys taking time trying to help people and share your thoughts and ideas. And I think that's what it's about. And I feel tied in the ag space, 'cause I grew up in a small rural town and around a lot of ag businesses. There's just not a lot of transparency, and it's hard for younger people to get some worldly wisdom like we're trying to share, Todd and Christy, and your guys' background. And Christy, love having you on as well. I think a lot of farm families and farm businesses, I mean, the moms are really a key role and play a massive role. I know my wife and Jordan's wife, and play big roles in all of our businesses, and a lot of times behind the scenes. So love having you on here as an example and role model for folks and people. Appreciate what you guys are doing out there for sure.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's the same thing. We see our customers as enterprisers, and we just want to help enterprisers, and
Yeah.
we want to take less chaos and maybe take a little stress off some families that, minimize some of the stress that Christy and I had when we were getting started, and encourage some of these young people to go for it and go start your own business or go do whatever in the ag space. And that's what we get a lot of energy out of that. So I was impressed with Jordan when I met him that day, and so boy, that just sounds so familiar. I can't believe we haven't crossed paths till now, but
Yeah. I like it. Go fail, think. I like it, Jordan.
there
It's
you
all
go.
right.
Like it.
Line.
That's all, that's
Right.
all I do.
I hear you. That's what we do over here. Yeah, you're
Go
right.
fail and go think about it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, certainly. So,
Cool.
well, heck, yeah.
That's
Jordan,
all
I
I
don't have-
got. Yeah, I appreciate you guys taking the time and doing this with us. So if there's anything we can do, give us a shout.
Well, let's reach out sometime and see what else we can do. That I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
for sure. Christy, Colton, thank you as well. Very much. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Jordan.
Thank
Thanks,
you, guys.
Kevin.
Yep.
Appreciate
See
it.
you guys.
Best of luck. Thanks. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Appreciate it.